Part of this video is sponsored by Arlo. These are not your average cevapi. We're talking juicy, tender Balkan sausages with the perfect meat mix, a shaping trick that feels like magic, a simplified Ajvar pepper sauce that still slaps, and onions that won't ruin your breath. Oh, and a sneaky flatbread upgrade that just might steal the show. And yet all of this is super achievable at home and even a good option for a weeknight. I hope you're ready. Let me show you how to make my take on Balkan-style cevapi. It all begins with ground meat. Across the Balkans, you can find all sorts of combinations, cevapi made with beef, lamb, pork, or literally any mix of the three. But to keep things simple today, we're going with just beef. Into a bowl it goes. Now, cevapi aren't heavy on spices, but there's one ingredient that's absolutely essential, and that's onion. Not just chopped onion though, we're doing something pretty cool, we're grating it. Yes, it gets messy and basically turns into mush, but that's exactly what we want actually. Because surprise, surprise, we're not using the onion itself, we're just using the juice. It's an amazing tenderizer and also adds great flavor. I'm pressing it out over a strainer. You could use a cheesecloth too, but I feel like you can never really get that onion smell out of the cheesecloth, so a strainer it is. And now we season. We start with salt, a little MSG, and just a touch of ground cumin. In my opinion, cumin amplifies the meatiness of red meats. We're not adding enough to really taste it directly, just enough for that little flavor boost. We're technically ready to start mixing everything evenly, but I have a little confession to make. In all my excitement, I forgot to add black pepper. Yes, one of the 3 things we actually need. You can add it now or not. Honestly, I think it's fine either way. The meat's not going to mix super easily at first, but just stay patient. After about a minute or so, it'll start to emulsify and become smooth. And that's gonna be our cue for the next step. Now, in a small bowl, you wanna crack an egg, add a splash of sparkling water, yes, really, and just a bit of baking soda. This combo might seem a little odd, but it's a traditional trick. You can skip it, but a lot of people from the Balkans will tell you it's essential. The baking soda helps tenderize the meat, by the way, and gives it that sausagey, slightly bouncy texture. Now pour this mix into the meat and keep stirring. Again, it's gonna feel a little awkward at first, but after another minute or two, you'll get a smooth, tender meat paste. And that's exactly what we want. Because next up is my favorite part. Not necessarily traditional, but extremely satisfying. You're gonna need a big ass pastry piping bag. You could use a Ziploc bag if you have to, and cut off the tip. You want a hole just big enough to stick your finger through, but not much more than that. Now you wanna grab a tall cup, a pitcher, or even a vase and drape the bag over the top. I know it seems a little weird, but trust me guys, it's gonna make filling this thing so much easier. And this, my friends, is our incredible cevapi dispenser. It's a miracle. Don't believe me? Well, just watch. You want to line a small sheet pan with baking paper. This is very important. You're going to understand why a little bit later, and then start piping out little cevapis. Once they're to your desired length, you can snip them off with scissors or a knife, but make them a tiny bit longer than you'd think, because they're going to contract and shrink while cooking. And by the way, guys, yes, I know exactly what this part of the process looks like, so keep your jokes to yourself, or actually even better, leave them in the comments below. Engagement. Okay, now look at that, a beautiful display of perfect cevapi. You could cook them right now and they'd come out just fine, but every Balkan family will tell you they get much better after resting in the fridge for a little bit. So give them at least half an hour, or even better, a few hours or overnight, which means we're gonna have a little time on our hands, but that's actually fine because we have a work to do. And by work, I mean making Ajvar, the essential sauce that goes with these beauties. And don't worry, I'm of course about to give you all the instructions you need, but first I want to share a quick word from this video's sponsor, Arlo. Ever landed in a new country and instantly panicked because no signal, no data, no clue where to get a SIM card, and don't want to deal with the hassle? Well, I've been there. That's why I started using Arlo, the world's first eSIM store trusted by over 15 million travelers. It lets you download a local, regional, or global eSIM before you even leave home, so you're connected the second you land in over 200 countries and regions. I'm planning a trip to Japan and Korea later this year, and for once I'm not stressing about mobile connectivity. I've already picked my eSIMs through the Arlo app, and I know I'll be connected the moment I land. So no roaming charges, no airport SIM card drama, and no no scavenger hunt for public Wi-Fi just to get a taxi. And the best part, it's 100% digital. So no switching SIM cards, no packaging waste, and setup took me less than 3 minutes. Just download the app, choose your destination, and follow the simple steps. So here's the move. Install the Airalo app today and use my code Andong3 to get $3 off your first eSIM. Again, that's Andong3, links in the description and pinned comment. Stay connected, save money, use Airalo. Thank you, Airalo, for sponsoring this video. We're back and we're ready to make some Ajvar. You want to start with some red peppers. Really, any kind works. I'm using these pointy ones. I think they have the most concentrated flavor, but bell peppers are great too. You know, every country has their own favorite, so just use that. And you also want to grab a little eggplant, not too big. Then poke some holes in all of our veggies with a fork, line a baking sheet with foil and roast them at 180 Celsius for about half an hour. And while these are roasting, let's actually prep another key Cevapi side, and that's sliced and mildly pickled onions. This of course starts with an onion. You want to trim both ends, then peel them and slice them super thin. Ideally with a mandolin, that's nice and even, but a knife is gonna work too. Now let me warn you real quick here, you are going to cry doing this. It's just part of the process. But to save your eyes and everyone's breath later on, you want to soak the slices in cold water for at least 15 minutes or even up to 2 hours. This is a magic step. It really just mellows the onion flavor and the bite. Then you want to drain them, put them in a container, add a splash of vinegar and just shake it up. These are pretty much ready to go now. You can just pop them in the fridge. And let me tell you, you've just made a super simple side dish that I would not want to miss when I eat any type of like grilled meat. It truly is the perfect companion. Now in the meantime, our veggies should be roasted and hopefully slightly charred. So now for the messy part, and that is peeling the veggies. Well, you know, sometimes you get lucky and the skin just slides right off. Other times, like today, maybe not so much, but that's actually fine. Just do your best. It's okay if a little skin remains. Don't worry about it. The eggplant, by the way, is usually a lot easier to deal with than the peppers. And now these veggies are gonna be the base of our delicious Ajvar. To make it, you wanna first heat a generous glug of oil in a pan, then add a chopped onion and caramelize that really well. We want deep fried onion flavor. Once it's nearly there, add a few crushed garlic cloves and brown those as well. Next comes something that looks like tomato paste, but it's not. This is pepper paste. It's just concentrated pepper flavor. You can find it in Balkan or Turkish shops and it's great in so many dishes. After adding that, I'm also gonna add some chili flakes. I'm using Aleppo pepper. I just like the slightly smoky flavor, but use what you got and adjust for your spice level. At this point, you can stir in the roasted veggies, season everything with salt, MSG, and yes, a little bit of ketchup. Certainly not traditional, but hear me out. It adds a little sweetness, a little acidity, and extra savoriness. So what's not to like? Now you want to blend it all up. Traditionally, it's passed through a meat grinder actually for a slightly chunky texture, but I like using an immersion blender. It's so much easier, a lot less cleanup, and you can control the texture. I like to start in the pot and then move to a smaller bowl to finish pureeing. I also like to add a splash of vinegar for a little tang and to help it keep longer in the fridge. And now this smooth Ajvar might not be textbook traditional, but it's delicious and lasts a good few days, if not a week, in the fridge that is. Okay, now while we're talking sauce, let's actually give a quick honorable mention to kaymak. It's like this thickened, reduced cream and it just tastes like dairy, if you ask me. You can make it at home, but I have to confess, I'm actually not a big fan of this stuff. So I bought mine at the Turkish store, but between you and me, I think yogurt or just sour cream will work much better in this recipe. Just maybe don't quote me on that. All right, but now let's check back on the Cevapi. They don't look very different, but they've firmed up nicely in the fridge, which makes them easier to handle. But here's a little trick I love. You can cut the baking paper with a few Cevapi still on top. These little slips make it super easy to lift and handle the Cevapi and control where they actually go. So now you can just brush a large skillet with a tiny bit of oil, heat that to medium, and carefully flip the Cevapi onto the pan. Isn't this a neat trick, guys? I am actually very proud of this. You want to let them cook for a few minutes until you get a nice little bit of char, and then you're ready to flip. Now I should mention you're going to need a piece of flatbread for this recipe. There's actually a specific type of like fluffy white flatbread that's quite popular in the Balkans, but we're certainly not making that from scratch today. I just want to keep things simpler. So what I did is I went to the Turkish supermarket and I got a piece of Turkish style pide or like a pita. This works just fine. Honestly, just any type of fluffy white bread is gonna do the trick. So here's another signature move. You wanna lay that piece of fluffy flatbread right on top of the cevapi as they cook. Of course, not on the raw side, on the cooked side. It's gonna absorb some of that meaty flavor and fat while gently steaming and softening. It's so good. Now, after flipping your cevapi again, I like to give the sides just a quick little sear too, maybe 30 seconds or so. If I'm not feeling lazy, you could also just skip this. But now just look at these beautiful little mini kebabs. I can barely wait to eat them. I think 6 per serving feels about right, but do not skip this last move. You wanna mop up a little bit of that rendered fat in the pan along with the meat juices with your already softened flatbread and just toast it up. This adds a whole other layer of flavor. You are absolutely gonna love it. It takes a simple piece of bread to like a delicious snack. But now for the grand finale, and that is the assembly. Lay the cevapi onto your toasted flatbread. I like them stacked on one side, and then spoon on a generous dollop of Ajvar onto your plate, and if you must, a little kaimak or yogurt on the side. Now, don't forget those pickled onions. Add as many as your heart desires. I like to go for a little pile, honestly, because I think they're almost the best part of this. And I like to finish with a sprinkle of parsley or cilantro. Not traditional, but adds a little color and brightness. Just check out these juicy, flavorful cevapi. I'm so happy with how they turned out. You can prep tons of them ahead of time and throw an epic barbecue. So this is your sign to do just that. And guys, even though I forgot adding the black pepper, they tasted amazing. If you ask me, cumin is doing the real magic here. You don't taste it outright, but it makes everything meatier and more cohesive. Personally though, I think what truly makes these shine and sets them apart from regular meatballs or something is the Ajvar and the pickled onions. So definitely don't skip on those. I hope this becomes a new weeknight favorite for you, or maybe weekend favorite. So try it out, let me know what you think. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'm gonna see you in the next one.